They went inside a federal court building in New York, Brooklyn, and solicited press with fraud. Solicited American press and solicited foreign press. They stood outside of the same federal court building and solicited press again with fraud, and stood right behind Robert's lawyer when she stated very clearly to all world press, Robert has one sister, Teresa. He's estranged from her. You see Cassandra, Lisa, and Dottie standing directly behind her. So they knowingly, deliberately, consciously, and maliciously committed fraud. And that's not the first time. They did it in Chicago, in that courthouse as well. Stood in front of the press and gave interviews, again committing fraud inside of a federal court building. And they had a government worker posing as their manager. So all three of them will be, charges will be filed. And all three of these females with their new manager, Dottie, charges will be filed on all of them for fraud and God knows how many other countless crimes the feds will come up with. They sat down with foreign press, which makes this international crimes, and they posed as, these three females posed as the sisters of Robert Kelly. After standing behind his lawyer, and his lawyer said he had one sister, after knowing she submitted a sentencing report, which is a legal document to a federal court, federal judge, information that they got directly from Robert Kelly, which he told his attorney, a MD and a PhD. And all of that was put into legal documents submitted to the court. Knowing all of that, they still persisted. Sat down with a member of the foreign press and perpetrated fraud that other news organizations then picked up on and carried on their platforms as well. It didn't seem like Don's crime was a big deal. No one was hurt. There was no gun. It was just a phone call. And people peacefully left the theater. And yet they treated it like it was 9/11. The superfan just made a remark that in 99.9% of cases would be no big deal. But because it had R. Kelly's name on it, they blew it up into something big and press charges against him. He was arrested on June 25th in Chicago. Eastern District of New York. They're not playing. And, they love these stories where if R. Kelly's name is attached to it, New York just springs into action. It states in court documents, Robert is the third of 4 children. Younger brother Kerry, older brother Bruce, and sister Teresa. More importantly, Bonjean went on to do a press conference afterwards and stated very clearly he has one sister who he's estranged from, and his 2 brothers, Bruce and Kerry. So the court document, June 28th, 2022, is the most recent legal documentation, information that they got directly from Robert, submitted in court documents to a federal court and a federal judge. This is legal. And to then, it's in the court record. It was submitted in a federal case to a federal judge, and it states very clearly, 2 women approached Robert wanting a blood test. He didn't do one.
He said that his sister abused him as he was a kid. He has 4 people here today.
Yes, he has a number of friends here today. No, his sister is not here today. He's been estranged from her for quite some time. He has 2 brothers who are fully in support of him, who were also victims of sexual abuse in his household. So they are here in spirit, although not here personally. So no.
So females went into a federal courthouse under fraud, solicited foreign press and American press under fraud, and then went outside, heard the lawyer say he had one sister, and continued to solicit press, national and international press, and continued with their rampage of fraud, and then proceeded to do interviews. It's not a question of will they come for them. They're definitely going to. It's just a matter of how many charges are they going to rack up. Because now you're looking at international fraud, Interpol, because it involves foreign news organizations as well as major networks. ITV is not a small player.
Now, when you get there, they're going to take away your name, give you a number and a sledgehammer, and say, get to work. One word of sass, they cut out your tongue. They good at it, too. You won't believe that. Oh, they does that.